The Codex of the Unlit Tabernacle. 1. The Preamble of the Unriven Gate. Before the dawn was shaped, before the name was assigned, before meaning was instructed to mean, there existed the gate that was not split. It stood, not open, not closed, merely there, like an idea that refuses interpretation. Scholars later called it the first refusal, though no scholar agreed on what was being refused. Some said the gate denied form. Others said it denied denial. Still, others argued it denied the existence of scholars, which then raised questions about the minutes of their meetings. To enter the gate required no faith, no devotion, no illumination, only adherence to the ritual of unspecified intent. Few attempted it. Fewer reported success. All reports contradicted each other. Thus was the foundation laid. 2. The ordinance of the bare word. After the gate that was not split produced its first non-sign, the elders drafted the bare word, a word with no spiritual implication, no secret vibration, no suggestion of transcendence, a word meant solely to be spoken. They never revealed the word, not to hide it, simply because they forgot it before they could tell anyone. The bare word became the centerpiece of the early church of non-meaning. Every liturgy began with its recitation, which was performed by raising one's mouth in the shape of expression, but uttering nothing detectable. The silence was debated for 3 centuries. 7 schisms emerged over whether the silence was full, empty, directed, undirected, subsidiary, elevational, or accidentally forgotten. All factions insisted theirs was the only non-mystical interpretation. 3. The doctrine of the straightened seraph. The ancient theologians record a celestial being stripped of all symbolism, a seraph, entirely literal, its wings described not as metaphors for ascent, but as administrative appendages for maintaining aerial balance. It is said the straightened seraph delivered the 7 unenlightened instructions, none of which contain any mystic quality, and all of which are preserved in the following form. Stand. Remain standing. Observe the standing. Acknowledge the observation. Cease acknowledging. Continue standing. Note the cycle. Pilgrims copied these instructions in countless manuscripts, often adding flourishes, illumination, ornamentation, or footnotes explaining why ornamentation was forbidden. The straitened seraph declined all worship, declaring that veneration was not within the outlined perimeters. The elders took this as a profound spiritual teaching. The seraph clarified that it was not. The elders praised this clarification as even more profound. 4. On the parable of the desert without a trial. A wanderer once trekked for 40 days into the desert without a trial. There, no temptations awaited, no adversary appeared, no revelation unfolded, no voice spoke from the void. The wanderer returned to the villages and proclaimed, "I have endured nothing, and nothing has changed me." This became a central parable. Debates quickly arose over whether the wanderer's lack of transformation constituted a transformation. 6 councils were called. 5 declared the wanderer's unchanged state as a sacred form of change. 1 declared the parable metaphorical. The council was dissolved for implying metaphor. 5. The covenant of the perpetual plane. The people of the early era lived by the covenant of the perpetual plane to avoid elevation in all forms. Mountains were declared metaphorically dangerous. Valleys were tolerated only because they were difficult to spiritually interpret. Flat ground was sanctified. A pilgrim wishing to grow spiritually was instructed to lie down until the impulse passed. Those who persisted in seeking revelation were reassigned to the task of cataloging unmiraculous occurrences, of which there were countless. The catalog reached 12 volumes before scholars decided the sheer number of entries risked implying a pattern. The volumes were burned. The ashes were archived. 6. The rite of the half-remembered supper. Once a year, the faithful gathered in the hall of unpointed lamps to reenact the half-remembered supper. The rite unfolds thus. Participants sit around an undecorated table. Bread is brought in, though no one recalls who brings it. Someone says a line that begins like a blessing and ends like an administrative notice. A cup is passed, containing something. At least one participant stands and announces they are fairly certain something symbolic was supposed to happen. The presiding elder assures them it was not. A great sense of approximate solemnity fills the room. Afterwards, the participants disperse and argue for months about whether the supper reenacts a historical event, an event that never occurred, or the absence of all events altogether. 7. The Book of Indeterminate Acts. Later, scribes compiled the fragmented traditions into the Book of Indeterminate Acts, whose chapters include the ascension that did not occur, the miracle of the unaltered water, the healings of those who were already fine, the revelation of the ambiguous clarification. The most cited passage reads, "And the teacher said unto the crowd, Let there be understanding. And there was none, and it was sufficient." Theologians spent centuries analyzing this passage. Their commentaries fill entire libraries, each volume concluding with the same line, "Meaning unavailable. Consult future commentary." The future commentary repeated the same. 8. The Epistle to the Almost Galatians, addressed not to a specific people, but to those who nearly resembled a people. The epistle states, "Brothers, sisters, and all who fall between the definitions, beware the teaching that seeks depth, for depth is but height inverted, and height risks interpretation." It further warns, "Let no one among you claim to know the true ordinance, for the true ordinance is still being drafted." The letter concludes with a blessing so non-transcendent that scholars still argue whether it is a blessing at all. May you continue as you were, unless revised. 9. The closing liturgy of the unsought kingdom. The Codex ends with the liturgy of the unsought kingdom, a kingdom without throne, ruler, subject, law, or borders. It is described only by negations. Not above, not within, not in the after, not in the now, not hidden, not revealed, not approaching, not receding. Yet, the faithful recite the final refrain with unwavering devotion. We await the kingdom that does not come, for its non-arrival is our assurance. The liturgy concludes in austere finality. Thus ends what never began.